I've waited over 20 years to get a mainstream Pokemon game on a main console, and Nintendo has finally delivered. I've now completed the game and played most of the endgame content, and have both good and bad points for this game, so here's the Games to You review for Pokemon Shield. Sword and Shield are very interesting games indeed because, as I said in the intro, these are the first mainstream RPG Pokemon games on a main console. This means that these games can look so much better on handhelds, feel potentially more lived in, and of course be playable on a TV. I bought Shield, but just like every other generation, the two games are very similar to each other and you could play either, but still be able to have a full opinion on both. The weird thing here though is that the Pokemon on the cover of the game couldn't be caught until after the credits roll, which is really surprising, and it disappointed me a little bit. Also, spoiler alert, that isn't my only problem with this game. So just like every other Pokemon game, we have a brand new region based on a new part of the world. This time the games are based in the Galar region, which is based on the UK, and wow, have they gone hard on the Britishness here. All of the text-based dialogue has British slang in it, some characters more than others, to the point that it can get a little bit annoying to read. It's as if Game Freak Googled being British and just copied everything they could. From your main rival Hot calling you mate all the time, to the detective in the hotel room who's clearly trying to be Sherlock Holmes, the game screams British stereotypes. There are areas this isn't a bad thing though, such as the towns, from a tiny village to what is effectively Stoke-on-Trent to a brilliantly reproduced London. The world has so much character that it puts a smile on your face. All of these towns are linked by routes, waterways, caves and bridges, and they all look incredible. The caves are nowhere near the size of Rock Tunnel or Mount Moon from the first games, by the way, but they are stunning and very different from everywhere else in the game. The best part of this world though is the very well thought out wild area. This is a huge area straight through the middle of the region, and it's something completely unique and new to these games. You can go into the wild area even before you have your first badge, yet you can find more Pokemon to catch than you'd find after 4 or 5 badges in any other games. This is amazing as it allows you to build a team that you can genuinely use throughout the game early on, rather than just using Pidgey and Rattata clones for the first few hours. The wild area also doesn't hold your hand at all, as you can easily go to an area that you're not ready for yet without any roadblocks. In one way, this could allow you to train against stronger opponents early on, but on the other, you can easily get wiped out very easily. On top of this, the wild area is split up into a few separate areas, each with its own level of Pokemon and its own weather pattern. Depending on the weather, different Pokemon will appear. Basically, in snow you'll get ice types, in bright sunshine you'll get fire types, and in the rain you'll get water. This encourages you to keep coming back to check if there's a new weather type you haven't seen yet, so you can fill up your Pokedex. Pokemon are of course the main part of these games, and they're also the part that caused some controversy before the games even came out. These games don't include every single Pokemon created, and this upset many people. I'm on the other side of this argument, however, as an awful lot of Pokemon are copies of older ones with slight changes. So cutting it down to about 450 means we get Pikachu but none of his clones, which is a really nice surprise. The variety of Pokemon here really is amazing, by the way. You have a lot of options when it comes to building your team, with plenty of Pokemon of every type being available. The best part of all this though, every single Pokemon can be seen in the overworld. There are still random encounters, but these are flagged by exclamation marks, so they can easily be avoided, meaning for the most part you can just run up to the Pokemon you want to battle and never be annoyed by endless Zubats ever again. These Pokemon also have their own personalities, which can be adorable. Some run away, meaning you need to be quick just to get a battle, whereas some will spot you and keep running after you, wanting battles forever and ever. This all helps to make the overworld feel alive, like we've always dreamed it was ever since Blue and Red. Just like in every other Pokemon game except for Sun and Moon, the main aim of the game is to collect 8 gym badges. These are always the most difficult battles, and that's no different here. Each gym leader has a formidable team with some type surprises just to throw you off a little bit. The first 3 gym leaders are very interesting this time, as they're grass, water and fire, meaning that no matter who you pick as your starter, you'll be at a disadvantage in one of the gyms. This brings me on to my favourite new addition this time around, and that's the design of the gyms. Ever since Red and Blue, the gyms have simply felt like a random building in whatever town they just so happen to be in. This time, however, the developers clearly looked at British culture, as the gyms are basically huge football stadiums. The final city of Wyndham, which is where you'll participate in the final tournament, not only looks like London, but the stadium is clearly Wembley, complete with its iconic arch. Before you take on each gym, you'll have a small puzzle to complete first, and these are much like what we've seen before, just in the glorious new graphical style. These rarely get frustrating, and for the most part can be quite a fun addition and a change of pace. So this game isn't perfect, not even close, and I think these problems need discussing if this is to be a full review. Firstly, this is not a difficult game, not even close. In fact, I'd go as far as to say this is by far the easiest Pokemon game ever. EXP share is always on from the start with no way to turn it off, which in one way means no grinding levels, but in the other means the game gets very easy. I didn't grind levels at any point during the game, yet I never once lost. In fact, I never came close. Even in the final battle against the champion, I was taking his team out with one-hit kills, which felt very weird. The way the AI decides to use the new Dynamaxing ability also goes towards making this game easy. Only during gym battles and the final championship can you Dynamax, but every time the AI just does it to their final Pokemon. This unfortunately means even if they can take out some of your team, it only lasts for 3 turns. So after that, you can just Dynamax yourself and take them out easily. On top of this, the game is really short for a Pokemon game. It takes just over 20 hours to complete if you're not trying to fill your Pokedex. This for the most part is because there's no level grinding, but it's also because you don't have much to do at all with the new Team Rocket copy until the very end, and the champion goes and does it all off screen, telling you to focus on the gym challenge. This seems like such a weird decision, as it's been a staple of the series, going into dungeons to battle a ton of goons, take on the crime boss, and save the region, but here it all just happens whilst you're completely left out. This isn't helped by some of the dungeons in this game being very small indeed. For the most part, you'll get through every cave in no more than 2 minutes, and there's no puzzling to be done at all. It really makes you miss the old days of Ice Tunnel and Victory Road, where you had to think a little bit just to get through it. Apart from the wild area though, the whole world is like this, as it can feel very small, especially when compared to games like X and Y, where the world was just huge. It makes sense that this game is smaller though, as they wanted this game to come out this year, and clearly Game Freak is learning how to create 3D worlds, and I completely expect the next game to be quite a lot bigger. In conclusion, this could be seen as both the best and worst Pokemon game so far. There's so much here that's great. It looks amazing, you can build a great team, and the gyms are just incredible. But with how short the game is and how easy it is, this is such a difficult game to rank. This game is absolutely the game I'd recommend for someone not into Pokemon but wants to try it for themselves. But for the hardcore fans, it becomes much more difficult. For me, the best Pokemon game is Heart Gold, and that isn't changing here at all. But if I'm honest, I think I could quite happily put this game in second place. Just seeing the Pokemon in the overworld and have it be as beautiful as it is made me fall in love with the series all over again. This is the game I dreamed of back when I was 6 years old, and I still can't believe it's here. The fact I'm going to restart this game just because I've thought of another team to use is amazing in on itself, and it's something I can see happening quite a few times yet. I think the best compliment I can give to this game though is it made me very excited for the next one. Even if it takes a couple of years to come out, I can't wait for whatever Nintendo throws our way. And of course, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of that. But for me right now, Pokemon is absolutely relevant again, and that fad in the 90s that my parents were sure would go away is still alive and kicking more than 20 years on. Here's hoping it can carry on for another 20 years and my generation can bring up our kids with this amazing franchise while still loving it ourselves. Anyway, this has been Games to You. Leave a comment, share this video, and give us a like to help the channel grow. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.